The task. The task given to us was to create a 3D game as a class so that we could learn what it's like to work as a studio. Everything I did for this was I created a game pitch, I did custom animations, tavern white box, a tavern interior, voice acting, the cutscene, the dragon, scene consistency and a performance overhaul. Week 1. In the first week of production, the team was required to individually pitch their game ideas. Mine was called Worlds Collide, a platformer runner with combat. The pitch had a full overview of the game as well as a timeline for the game's creation and any marketing or profit involved. A demo was also featured. However, my game was not chosen in the end. Instead, Tavern Troubles was a chosen game. I will feature the PowerPoint in the upload. Week 2 and Week 3. Week 2 and 3 were spent planning the game as a class through meetings and discussions. It was at the end of Week 3 that we decided on how the game was actually going to be made. And we settled on 3D Unity. In this time, a Trello board was set up for the team. This is where all the ideas for the game were stored. This was helpful in allowing the team to know what was needed to be added, what was in the process of being made, and what was completed. This was also where we shared assets with each other and assigned each person to specific roles where they felt capable of completing. In this time period, we also set up teams. Each team was a different role in the game production. The teams include general programming, art design, game design, UI UX, animation, sound audio, and version control. I chose to be in the art, sound, and animation teams. In this period, a Discord server was set up where each team could discuss progress and work together. Discord was also where we arranged meetings every week. This is where we would discuss progress and talk about possible changes and additions. These meetings were very important for the team, so I took it into my own hands to ensure that everyone was going to attend all weekly meetings. Week 4. Week 4 was where me and the art design team discussed the interior design of the tavern and what we wanted in it. We then looked at the interior designs of taverns from other existing games for inspiration. We then created the design for the tavern based on what we discussed. Each person working on the interior made a white box tavern based on the design. Mine was the one that was chosen in the end to be the official version. Week 5. This was when the actual making of the tavern had begun, where we would make a full tavern with a full interior and exterior. This was when the tavern began to be created. One of the art design team members made the walls for the tavern. I then proceeded to make the full interior for the tavern for the game. To do this, I placed all the white boxes with actual assets. I also worked on all the collision inside to make sure the player wouldn't go through anything and that the player could walk up the stairs. Another member of the art design team made the outside of the tavern. I then proceeded to put trees and plants at the back of the tavern to give it more detail. Using this teamwork, we made the full interior. Week 6. This week was when I started on animations. The first thing I did was make the animations for the dice roller. The dice roller was originally meant to be where the player could gamble for a chance to win some money for 10 gold, but they could risk receiving no money instead. However, this was unfortunately replaced with a slot machine in the tavern instead. We also did voice acting this week. I recorded lines for the characters to say in the game when receiving drinks. Let's just say the results are interesting.
You are in my way.
Oi, give me that.
My sweeting. Thank you. Oh, get a move on, peasant.
But let's go into week 7. Week 7 was when I began work on the customer animations. I downloaded all the needed animations from Mixamo and set up an animation tree for the customers. To implement the animations into the code, I had to do a code review for the customer movement script from the classmate who originally made the code. This was so I could know what it was doing, but also to check it worked as intended before adding animations. When the code review was done, I added all the animations into the code where they needed to be. Now the animations were working and the customers would walk in and sit down when they need to. Week 8. The cutscene. For the cutscene, I wanted a fun way to put players into the game. Instead of just having it start with a menu, I thought this would be more intriguing for the player. What you see here is the exterior tavern and street made by the art design team, fully designed by us and implemented into the cutscene by me. What you see here is a seamless transition into the menu scene. I used the same camera coordinates and I copied all the assets over from the cutscene into the menu scene. Since the menu was missing a lot of the updated environment, this helped with scene consistency. From the menu, the player can go straight into the game, or they can look at the help screen or credits. Here you can see the process of me putting the exterior design of the street into the city scene. We worked together to ensure that the size of the tavern street was the right size to fit the city. The original city was in the Cinti asset pack, but I cleaned it up basically to make it fit the scene. There are two scripts in the cutscene. One is to allow the player to skip the cutscene, and the other is to play music. Both these scripts were completely code reviewed by the team. If we look at the original version of the cutscene, we can see that it was a lot laggier. This was changed when I did performance organization, where I removed a lot of the assets to make it run smoother. This was also done in the main game to make it run a lot better, as I wanted the game to be as high quality as we could make it. The dragon. One of my classmates went through the trouble of creating a dragon model. It wasn't needed in the game, but I gave myself the task of animating it flying around the tavern, as I didn't want my classmate to have their model not put to good use. I thought if someone was going to do work, I should reward it and have it in the game. Post-production. Testing was something that was carried out all the way through the project. Every single thing I added to the game, I made sure to fully test, as I wanted to make sure the game worked as best as possible. From my testing, I found a few things. The walking animations weren't working fully. This was to do with the code, however the code was fixed. The cutscene was laggy, and as I said, it was completely overhauled and performance was increased. And there was an issue with the colliders, so I went through and fixed all the colliders so they worked. I did some playtesting from friends and family. What would I do next? One thing I do is ensure the team is cooperating. With this game, I found a lot of the team wasn't really doing their best and they weren't really cooperating and communicating with the rest of the team. I would make sure that we have full cooperation. More organisation in the teams would be best, as a lot of the teams didn't really know what they were doing at the start, and it was only late into the project everyone fully got a grasp of what they were doing. I would also make sure the game is fully planned out, as even towards the very end we were still removing features and adding features in, which I don't think was the best for production. Thanks for watching.